Welcome to Focus Basics. This is day 5 of 5. So for the past 4 days, we've been defining focus as keeping your attention pointed towards one specific area. We've gone over attention as mental energy. We've talked about the attention age. We talked about how to keep that focus and keep your goals in mind. And yesterday we talked about physical things to consider when we're talking about focus. So today I want to share with you, this being the last day, the most valuable focus technique I have. And that's this. You could only focus on one thing at a time. Now it may seem simple, but let me go over it. Let's say that you're overwhelmed, that you have a huge exam coming up. You know that this final exam is going to cover half the book. It's so huge. There's so many notes that you have. There's so many lectures you attended. You don't know how you're going to even study for this exam. It's so big. So as I focus on how huge and overwhelming that this test is that helping me towards my goal? My goal being to ace this test? Not necessarily. It's actually hindering me because I feel like procrastinating. I feel like holding it off. I feel like a big weight is on my shoulders. So when I ask the most valuable focusing question, how does what I'm focusing on now moving me towards my goal? Well, it's not. So I need to redirect my focus. So what do I redirect my focus on? Well, let's look at the most valuable focusing technique, and that's one thing at a time. So what's the one thing I can focus on right now that'll move me towards my goal of acing that exam? Well, if I look around, I see my bag. Now my bag has the textbook in it, and it has my binder with the notes in it. So the one thing I can do right now is go walk over to that bag and open it up. So that's exactly what I'll do. Now if I ask the question, is this moving me towards my goal? Well, yes it is, because I'm actually getting my workout. So I unzip the bag, I pull out the textbook, and I pull out my binder. Now, what's the one thing in front of me? One thing at a time that'll move me towards that goal. Well, right now I could open the textbook to the half of the book that I need to study for. Uh-oh, I'm thinking about that half of the book I need to study for. Really? So putting my focus on that isn't helping me towards my goal. I'm feeling overwhelmed again. So what I'm going to do is not think about that. All I'm going to think about is opening it up to the page that I need to open it towards. So I take the book, I open it up to that one page. Simple enough. So I look at my binder. I take a look at the binder. Man, that's a lot of notes. That's a whole mess of notes, and it's not really that well organized. Is my focusing on that helping me towards my goal? No, not really. So one thing at a time, open the binder. That's what I could do right now, one thing at a time. So I open the binder. So now I can look at which note, a note, goes towards this exam. So now I take out A. This one note actually goes to this one exam. Then I move that note out of the binder and put it into a pile to study for the exam. Then I look at the next note. Well, I don't know how that got in there. I throw that away. Then I look at the next note. Again, one thing at a time, going through the binder, one note at a time. Before I know it, I'm done organizing my notes, and I have the book to reference just to make sure that I've got the right sections to study for. So am I going to focus on one chapter at a time? No, that's pretty overwhelming. These chapters are huge. Am I going to focus on one section at a time? Well, that's a little better. So what am I doing here? I'm looking at one thing at a time and constantly asking the most valuable focusing question, which is, how is what I'm focused on now moving me towards my goal? And then constantly reminding myself about the most valuable focus technique, one thing at a time. If you constantly fall back on the question and use this technique, I guarantee you'll be done with less time, less effort, and do a better job at it. One thing at a time. Of course, this basic training is just the tip of the iceberg. If you're open and willing to try more powerful tips and strategies to becoming a highly effective, highly efficient, ninja-like student, see you inside FastStudySkills.com.